What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with a special one this time. Indeed, I wanted to wish a very happy birthday to Sofia, and she gave me access to a soundtrack that features the vocals of Jimmy Somerville. I'm not sure if it's pronounced that way, maybe it could be Somerville, but the way it's spelled suggests Somerville. I did a reaction to Bronski Beat through a lucky dip that Yvonne had provided, and people mentioned, a lot of folks were talking about Jimmy Somerville's vocals and his ability just to go to different stages of high soaring vocal work. So yeah, I did want to react to a track called Coming from the Orlando soundtrack, a film from 1992. Now, I've been told a bit about the film and the way it's like this generational fantasy where someone is spanning the centuries and there's events far back linked to events in the future. So I haven't seen it myself, but I do like movies like that or stories like that where there's a bit of history and, let's say, like political or practical events that are linked to something that's more mystical or fantastical. So it does sound very interesting. I listened to one, no, maybe it was two. I think it was two tunes in the soundtrack, but I have not heard this one yet, so this will be fresh to my ears. As I said, it's called Coming, which suggests motion toward. It suggests something which is time related but also activity based, which is to say something that has not yet come to fruition or has not yet arrived but will be doing so, at least based on the perception or assessment of an observer, an agent, if you will. So yeah, I don't quite know what to expect. Given my sense of what the movie's about, I would maybe think it relates to that passage of time and something which was, the seeds for which were sown much earlier, coming over the course of some duration, but I don't really have any direct information. So I did want to mention this piece is composed apparently by Sally Potter, who I guess directs the film, David Motion, and Jimmy Somerville. They're all given credit on this one. So with no further ado, let's give it a listen. This is the tune Coming from the Orlando soundtrack, a film from 1992. a sonic tapestry. Before we even get to his incredible voice, which I believe, like in the Small Town Boy extended mix I listened to from Bronski Beat, I believe his voice was layered there, multiple vocal lines being overlaid at least at a couple points. But before we even get to that, what a rich sonic texture. So we have obviously this down-tempo driving beat, which is certainly slower. It felt very much like a down-tempo BPM, but at the same time, the kick had some heft to it, had a real power to it, and I think it was offset by like a soft hi-hat, maybe a ride cymbal, but it was a really foundational kind of beat that laid the surface for everything else that was above it or on top of it. So then obviously we have some strings along the way. There were these almost like computer-like, but a bit dissonant, a bit moody type of chords that stood out at some different points. There was this low electric-sounding bass line, which was mostly supportive, mostly kind of buried under everything else, but I think it was part of what gave that down-tempo beat and rhythm some of the drive that it had. At the end, I thought I heard like these big sort of, like bell tower kind of bells. The like medieval, I don't know if it was like a flute, but there was like this older sounding instrument, sort of, centuries old sounding woodwind, I think, or at least, an electronic, maybe a keyboard type of kit that had this like flute-like sound, but that was very prominent, especially in the early stages of the track, and then I noticed it again at a couple points as it came around. So overall, it was a very multifaceted, and at least at some points, very dense sonic arrangement. But I did also like when it would get through some of those sections with the fuller arrangement, and it would evaporate out some of those parts, and then it would just be that driving beat with Jimmy's voice soaring over the top. I really enjoyed when it cleaned up a little bit, and I think that did that 2 or 3 times over the course of the track. And then now, obviously, we have to talk about his voice. Incredible, like operatic, lots of, I think, technically vibratos where it sort of like resonates very richly and very like true and pristine, meaning I praise a lot of different types of voices, a lot of different types of singers. In some cases, I'm thinking of Mark Allman of Soft Cell. I like the way that sometimes the melodic character of his voice seems to burn a bit hot. It seems to go a bit outside of the melodic lines where it should be, so to speak. I think it gives it a lot of charisma and a lot of personal flair, but it feels like this voice has a lot of intense power, even though it's like a higher like register type voice, but it feels very like clear, pristine, like in the pocket perfectly. It feels like a very professional voice, for lack of a better word. So again, I like voices all over that spectrum, the more unique and sort of eccentric to the more classically trained and almost professionally operatic. It feels like this Jimmy's voice is farther down that end, though I would not be surprised to find out that, he really lets it loose and maybe, goes into the red a little bit intentionally himself. But just a really elegant vocal performance, which again, I think there were a couple moments where there were both lead and backing vocals from him at the same time. So I do think his voice work was the star of the track, even if I love all the other elements around it, both the particular parts and the way it dynamically evolved, both more densely and more thinly over the duration of the tune. Lyrically, it sounds somewhat like I was thinking, talking about, coming across this great divide and coming toward another person, which, having a bit of context for the movie, I'm thinking about time in a more literal sense, but also the time that it takes to take a physical action, to move towards someone literally. And then also talking about, experiencing ecstasy, so maybe that connection, if it can be made, across the generations or through this metaphysical, preternatural span of personality and time, that it will be something very rich and wonderful. But it also seemed to have greater scope than just them. It seemed to be like about the journey and perhaps how that relates to archetypes and so on. There are a couple lines that, of course, in the moment now I'm forgetting that I was meaning to mention, but in the moment they are escaping me. but definitely it did seem to relate to taking a journey through time towards someone and the expectation of what that will bring and the amount of time that you've been waiting to get there. So both a destination interpersonally and temporally, it felt like. So I suppose if I had seen the movie, I might have even greater insights here, and maybe some of the lines would have stayed with me. But as people know, when I do these first reactions, meaning listening to a tune I've never heard before, over the course of the experience, different things will stand out. And sometimes when I make a mental note early on, it can maybe be overwashed by other elements that suddenly stand out or strike me over the course of the remainder of the tune. But as with all songs that I listen to on or in this context, I will do successive listens, I will listen in headphones, I will experience the tune more, and perhaps at some point I will have more to say after having seen the movie. Now, again, I have the full soundtrack. Once again, thank you to Sofia, and I have heard 2 other tracks that I think were great and definitely are worthy of listening to. So this will not be the last time we hear the Orlando soundtrack in reaction form, so I'm sure some of you out there will know the movie. I believe Tilda Swinton is one of the stars. I know her from some different things, but again, I haven't seen this movie, so I can't really speak to her performance in this particular film. But once again, I'm very much impressed by Jimmy Somerville's voice, and I would like also to hear some more Bronski beats. So all of that shall come in the future. Let me know what you think, and Luca and I will see you next time. Peace.